This is the Metro Morning Podcast. I'm Helen Mann, filling in for Matt Galloway. Many people in Northwest Etobicoke face trouble finding employment and training opportunities. My next guest is hoping to change that. He has co-founded a new program to encourage young people in Rexdale to consider jobs in the tech sector. Andréa joins us now to tell us more. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, why did you decide that this was a potential opportunity for young people getting into the video game area?
Well, this actually goes back to a conversation I had with a friend of mine during that city council run, and he works for Toronto Public Libraries. And he was talking about a program at the Albion Library where young people can drop in and play video games. So we were brainstorming some ideas, for policy and so forth, and I thought, well, what if the kids learned how to make the video games? What if they learned how to create the content instead of just consuming it? There's a lot of young people in the area who love video games, who are incredibly creative, but they just don't really have the avenue to get into the industry. They don't have the industry connections, they don't have the mentorship. So there's some programs downtown, and they're much appreciated, but I thought, well, why can't we bring some of these programs out to Rexdale?
I heard about Techsdale from my mother. When she was telling me about it, I was completely ecstatic for it, because this is completely the field I want to go into when I grow up and everything. It's something I'm in love with. I don't want to ever stray off of this path.
The thing about this area is that it's lower income than the rest of Toronto. So there's the great parts, which is the people, and then there are the not so great parts, which is sort of the geography and infrastructure. A lot of jobs and opportunities just don't exist here. And that's because resources just aren't allocated out here. So it's one of the most diverse areas of Toronto. A lot of people who move from overseas end up here because we're very close to the airport. So you'll find people from all different walks of life and all different cultures in this area. If you're from Rexdale, you're from everywhere.
In Rexdale, a third of the population is under the age of 25, and it's a particularly diverse part of the city. On the other hand, you've got the tech sector, which is acutely homogenous. It's white, it's male, and it's not as diverse as it ought to be. It doesn't reflect its consumer base. So the group of kids we've got, the group of youth we've got here in the program is brilliant. They're creative, they're imaginative, they're curious. So all we're trying to do is equip those brilliant young people with the opportunities they need to succeed pursuing careers in tech.
Sometimes I wake up just to play video games. I was born in 1999. Any system that was up before mine, my mom already had. So pretty much I grew up playing them, from the Atari to the Super Nintendo and such, and I've always been hooked onto them. I don't think it's a waste of time.
One of the things that my mom really gets or worries about is that I waste too much time playing video games, since it's pretty much my whole life. Now I don't play that much games, but I like to make my own games. It's the best thing for me, just because I do it fast, I like it, and I don't want to stop doing it.
Before, only he play, but now try to create stories is important. And for me, the creativity is the most important. It's amazing for that reason. Yeah.
My dream is to become a video game designer, developer, and programmer. I hope to work for a company, maybe NetherRealm Studios, that works on making fighting games and such. This program right here has taught me the basics, the whole start to what I'm moving on forward to.
Before Techsdale, first I wanted to be an electrical engineer or mechanical, but then I kind of want to start learning the programs and everything, so I want to be a game creator.
If you happen to be among a community of programmers and you have this ability to be in the community because your parents gave you a laptop or gave you a computer to work with, then yeah, you develop that capital, but that's because you've been thrust into that space. Especially people who come from, who are first and second generation Canadians and don't really come from that sort of family background where they really encourage young people to get into that area. It's really disheartening for young people to get into that whole world where they want to be able to bring their own stories and they want to be able to create some sort of social capital to be able to get in proximity with the game industry, and then realizing it's a bit of a closed door. I really do hope that one thing that we're able to do here is just give people access to that capital.
Well, I'm very new to video games and technology. This is my first time really interacting with programming at all. So far I've really enjoyed it, but I'm a little bit less familiar to it as the other students here. I am really into creating stuff in the arts, So this is just something new that I was excited to try.
At Techsdale, I learned a bunch of things which I didn't already know. Things that had to do with animation, coding, and like putting that all together into a video game.
We just wanted to get them introduced to the mechanics of gaming and then talk to them about, okay, well, what are some of your stories? What are some of your ideas? What are some things that you'd actually want to see in a game?
What are some places that you typically don't see? Like, what would you want to see more of?
Maybe a game that you need to go to a different universe or something, or you get teleported out of nowhere.
Okay, yeah. So like going into parallel universes? Cool.
I actually got a lot into ancient Egypt mythology. Now that I had an opportunity to make a game, I wanted to combine God of War, since it was killing of gods, and had a little bit of mythology with ancient Egypt, and combine them all into a big idea.
We started off focusing on like platforming games. After getting a feel for video games by playing them ourselves here, we all got an idea for what we wanted to create. My game is like a platformer in which you run forward and like there are enemies coming at you. My character is a medieval knight that's like from back all the way in those times, but he's put into the future. He has to find out what's going on around him and survive.
Well, for me, it's a female trying to get through a park. She's trying to dodge squirrels and trying to get over boulders. That's it. It started out kind of as The Amazing Race in a way, but I think the story kind of changed over the weeks when I realized it's harder than it seems. Personally, I'm not really a fan of the way a lot of people see girls in video games. I see a lot of like crop tops and stuff like that, and my character, on the other hand, she looks normal, and I think that's really important to introduce into the people that are playing these games. A female hero for me would be somebody being really themselves, not showing off their body, showing off their skills and their intelligence, where they're strong and they can save the world the way that girls really can do that.
Hello? Anyone home?
Not only are you unlikely to see persons of color in video games, but when you do see them, they're typically problematic figures, right? Encompassing stereotypes that we've inherited over generations. Maybe it's the thug, maybe it's prone to violence, you know? So when you do see people of color reflected in video games, they tend to be really negative stereotypes.
There's a lot of black stereotypes which are thrown around, like not even just in video games, such as like the food we eat, the way we act. A bunch of games maybe like Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas. There wasn't really anybody in the black community within that game who was like proper. Like you saw a bunch of hoes out there, or like gangsters and stuff. There was no maybe like a black businessman I ever seen in that game. We don't really notice it, but like because like sometimes we just follow those things because that's what we see, so we believe it. I would definitely want to see like people being themselves. Like if I can create an AI that can completely create their own person and be themselves, like a snowflake out there. Everybody's different.
Gather around.
We're going to add a web development course. We're going to add a mobile development course. And ultimately, we're going to secure our own space so that kids can drop in after school to give the space they need to create their own future.
I definitely would love to come back and like maybe help out with like any other programs they're trying to run. I think the experience would be amazing for a bunch of different people, especially if I can get my sister in it, who's also really interested in technology, not for the same reasons, but it would still help her. It'd be awesome.
It's a whole lot of fun. You kind of stop playing games and want to make more, and it'll pretty much become your life.
I hope that they can reach out to more kids and get more kids involved in the program. I've talked to my colleagues at school and they're very interested in coming here. I have like 5 people who can't wait to join next semester, and I think with the small group we have now, we can bring in a lot more people for the next course that they're going to do.
The tech field is one of the most open and vast fields, and there's just so much more to be done. That we believe that if we can arm people with the basic skills, if we can get people into coding, get them into graphic design, creating apps, doing web design, even being able to tell stories. We think that using a program like Techsdale, we can actually help reshape Rexdale as a whole.
Okay, so would you think that
You like games.
You guys can take those laptops home with you. They've got graphic design software on there, Photoshop equivalent, and Illustrator equivalent, free open source stuff, a coding program called Sublime Text, G-Develop, of course, and I'll be in touch soon with some next steps you could take to, build on what you've learned here.